Who's up first? Probation.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Just
are you?
have one request, seeking authorization to accept our ignition interlock device monitoring award, and that goes from October 1st of 21 to September 30th of 22, in the amount of $4,379, and that amount has been budgeted.
I'll move it. Shimitas.
Second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? So carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. District Attorney.
Is he on? I can't see with the screen.
I don't see. Well, why don't
Okay, we discussed this, well, part of it at the Point One committee meeting yesterday. He is asking for another paralegal because of the disclosure laws now. It's creating a lot of work in the attorney's office or the district attorney's office. They received $215,963 in a grant for this purpose. They received it last year. So what we need to do is we need to, according to Ron before he left, we need to amend the budget and to pass the position of create and fill for a paralegal.
Move it, Stats.
Second.
Second, Kippy.
All in
I have a-
favor?
I have a couple
Aye.
questions actually before we vote,
Sure.
just
Go ahead, Michael.
logistically. So what we're basically doing is we have money that's already come in through a grant that we've accepted, we passed last year, and
Yeah.
we're basically assigning the money from that grant in the
Yes,
budget towards this position.
and that was the purpose of the grant for
Okay.
for bail reform and disclosure.
Okay.
The original resolution put all the grant money into personal services, so we had to move 30 out to pay for equipment as well. So that's what the other resolution is.
Okay, so we're basically doing like a budget alignment on funds that have already come in.
Yep.
Okay, thanks for clarifying.
Any other questions?
I think we have a,
I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry. No, I'm
We have
sorry.
a first and
Chairman.
we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
And the second part of this was to purchase $30,000 to purchase computer equipment. I believe the DA worked with the MIS to get that figure. Apparently his equipment is outdated and he needs to update it. And again, this is all grant money.
I'll move it, Kippy.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So carried. (911).
Good afternoon, everyone. I have a personal resolution request form to fill a budgeted emergency dispatcher 1 position due to retirement on 3/30 of this year and any backfill that it causes. Request to also create and fill a temporary emergency dispatcher position as soon as possible, and that'll end on 3/31/2022. No budget adjustment required. It is budgeted for the filling of the positions.
I'll move it, Morel.
Second.
Second, Hotley.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? So carried.
I have another resolution request authorization to extend the contract for the statewide interoperable communications grant, which was totaling $3.5 million. Original resolutions 371, 2015 and 373, 2019, also 66, 2021. Contract to be extended till the end of this year, December 31st of 2022.
Any questions?
I'll move
First,
I'll move
second,
it, Hotley.
second.
Move it, Hotley.
Helsley.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
The last item I have is just some agency data for November and December of last year. In November, we dispatched 1,342 EMS agencies, 425 fire agencies, 1,914 police polls, and 353 public service calls. Then in December, we dispatched 1,363 EMS agencies, 409 fire agencies, 1,900 police polls, and 421 public service calls. And that's all I have for you tonight.
Thank you, Rob. I just wanted to bring something up to the group, get everybody up to speed, as in reference to 911. And as everybody knows, I'm the new chairman of this committee, so I did go to all of the committee chairs and went to all the different buildings and got myself up to speed as well. So there is in the plans to and Rob, you can explain this better, but there has to be a redundancy plan in reference to 911, in reference to their physical location. There has to be two places for us to be able to work from. There presently is one at the sheriff's department, and the second one is presently in the basement of 610, which I went and toured. There's been a plan to add on to the training center, an extension onto the building, which was approved last year. And that I did speak to Ron Knott about that. That building is supposed to happen this year, in which then there will be similar to what we have now. Instead of there being just one at the sheriff's department, there'll be a second one over at the training center. And Rob has some grant money already that's been approved, if I recall, Rob, somewhere in the high 400,000s for a lot of the equipment. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes, our new phone system is being covered by grant funding, which will have to be installed, and we're kind of waiting for that to happen to go along with the building extension. And just so everybody understands, that building is utilized when we have sometimes equipment upgrades at the primary site that'll take us down. We actually move over to the backup site to work out of there to stay up. During the first part of COVID, we split our staff, where we had half staff working out of the backup and the remaining working out of the primary center. So it's a redundancy that services the county well. And the one we're in currently is a little small, and we're looking forward to the move.
I also wanted to just extend an invitation to everybody in this committee or any supervisors. If you haven't taken a peek at the training center, you really should. I'd be happy to facilitate that. I took a tour of the building. It's really a big asset to the county. So if you haven't taken a look at it, we can also show you where the plan is in reference to putting in the 911 additional space that is planned. So if you need to do that or would like to do that, please let me know. Okay. Thank you, Rob. Is there any
Actually-
questions for Rob in regards to that? I just want to make sure everybody knows what's happening.
Yeah, I do appreciate the update, and I have a question. I just didn't quite follow it. So we have currently the main location is 610, and there's
No,
a
the main location is at the sheriff's facility.
Okay.
It's at the end of the building. That's going to remain where it is.
and then the backup location is 610,
Correct.
and then you're hoping to eventually replace that backup with the new location.
Correct.
So okay, that makes sense.
If you want to take a look at that, Michael, please do. It's in the basement. It's pretty awful working conditions. So I'm looking forward to it. And frankly, the new training facility is very nice. So it'll be a welcome change for the county for sure. Are there any other questions?
I can give anybody a tour if they want. Supervisor Chimides, if you wanted to reach out, I can meet you there.
Okay, thanks. I'll connect with you.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you.
Public defender?
Good afternoon, everyone. I have one request. I'm asking for the authorization to accept a grant award, distribution 12, in the annual amount of $50,581 over a 3-year period from the New York State Office of Indigent Legal Services to the Columbia County Public Defender's Office, and authorize the chairman of the Board of Supervisors to sign said contract. This award is a continuation of the funding for our investigator, which is currently funded under distribution 9. And that will be exhausted somewhere in the middle of the second quarter of this. So this contribution 12 would be for the term approximately January 1, 2022 to December 31st, 2024.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
Abdus.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So carried.
Thank you. And then just quickly, I have my reports for the months of November and December. November of last year, my office had 93 new applications. We closed 85 cases, had approximately 1,600 outstanding cases. Myself and my staff conducted 64 arraignments, and the CAFA attorney program conducted 9 off-hour arraignments. In the month of December, 73 applications, 80 cases closed, approximately a little over 1,600 active caseload. Myself and my staff conducted 40 arraignments, and the CAFA attorney program 13 arraignments. And that's all I have. If there's any questions, I'd certainly be happy to answer them.
Yeah, I have a question. To what do you attribute the reduction from 2020?
2020 and 2021.
Yeah.
Honestly, a large number of people are issued appearance tickets to come to court instead of, potentially being arrested and brought before the court at that time. And a lot of people aren't showing up. And it takes under some of the new legislation, the bail reform legislation, before a court can issue a warrant for somebody's arrest. I believe it's 3 consecutive non-appearances. So, some speculation, but that's what I.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions for Shane? Thank you, Shane.
Thank you, Supervisor. Thank you, everyone.
Sheriff?
Hello, everyone. Lieutenant John Rivero here, in place of Sheriff Kraft, who is currently at a sheriff's conference in Saratoga. And he sends his apologies, but asked for me to bring some items before the committee today.
Sure.
The first is authorization for the sheriff's office to fill a budgeted vacant full-time position for deputy sheriff captain, which was created by the retirement of Captain Lewis Bray.
Move it, Hoatling.
Second,
Second, Shemitas.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
Thank you. The second is authorization for the sheriff's office to fill a budgeted vacant full-time position for deputy sheriff sergeant. This was created due to the vacancy created by Sheriff Kraft. It would be for the security services sergeant.
Move it, Hoatling.
Second,
Second.
second, Mettler, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So carried.
Thank you. The third is authorization for the sheriff's office to fill a vacant budgeted full-time position of deputy sheriff. This was created by the untimely passing of Deputy Sheriff Bernard Roberts.
Move it, Morel.
Second,
Second, Kippy.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So carried.
Thank you. Next is for the authorization to purchase 2 patrol vehicles. Authorization is to purchase these 2 vehicles out of the
John,
budget.
we have the
Ammunition
ammunition
one first.
Oh, I'm sorry. My
according to your
papers were-
schedule. I just want to make sure you didn't miss it.
Nope, thank you. I can revert back to that. So strike that. The next is for authorization for the sheriff's office to purchase ammunition. This is budgeted. It is purchased off of the state contract. And this is ammo ordering for the calendar year 2022 in the amount of $6,208.83.
Do we typically do a resolution to purchase this, Lieutenant?
Well, it depends on the amount. I believe that when it's over a certain amount, that's when the resolution is created. And we're currently at a huge deficit for ammunition, which is why I believe we're
Mhm.
for this.
No, I have no issue with ordering the ammunition. I don't remember ever doing a resolution to order, but I'll move it.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So carried.
Thank you. And final request is going to be for the two patrol vehicles. These are budgeted items. These are vehicles that are on state contract. And it is for the total amount for $89,066.83.
Are these two 2021 Ford Police Interceptors? Is that what they are? Two of them? I
That
know
is
it says
correct.
two, but then it says a 2021. So it is two, correct?
It is two patrol vehicles. I believe that they may be 2022. The reason we put 2021 is because these are currently in stock.
Okay.
But it all depends on where they were on the assembly line. So it's kind of we kind of see what we get when they get here. But it's the same model year. The cost is going to be reflect the same either way.
Okay.
So,
Move it, Kippy.
so the total is for two cars is 89,000. Is that correct?
89,066.83. Correct.
Right, but for
That'll
two
be
of
for, that'll be for both vehicles. Correct.
right. Okay, thank you.
We have a first. We need a second.
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? So carried.
Lieutenant,
Thank
I
you
just had
very
a
much.
question. I know we put money in the budget for, I think, up to 10 vehicles.
That is correct, sir.
And were the other ones ordered?
I'm currently in the process of that right now. I'm working with Sheriff Kraft and our, I guess we'll call it our assembly team, because there's a lot to go into a car. And there have been some costs that have been associated. Anyone that's in the market for purchasing a new car now, there's been a market assessment fee that's been tacked on to any vehicle, and that's police vehicles are not exempt from that. So we are currently trying to get a good quote together and get a good firm number that I feel is reasonable for the residents of Columbia County and that will fit into our budget. So I am currently working on that for the remaining 8 cars.
Okay, thank you.
So will you present those as 8 the next round, or will they be presented in like this?
To be perfectly honest with you, sir, I don't know at this time. If
Okay,
I can
that's fine.
find any cars that are
Yep.
available to me sooner, I will try and order those immediately, as I did with these, because
Okay.
these cars I can get.
Got it.
The others, if I can get them, I'll put it in. Let's say it's 3, I'll buy those 3.
Great.
All 8 have to be ordered. I'll do it at that time.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Have a happy new year, all.
You too. Emergency management.
Good afternoon. I have no requests at this time. I've submitted our report, which begins December 1st. It goes through to January 14th. During that period, we hosted 9 COVID County Leaders web conferences. Those are held twice a week on Tuesday and Friday mornings. Also, we participated or hosted at least one member in 15 meetings. And we had 13 task-oriented activities, and I highlighted some of those that were during that period. And other than that, I'll answer any questions.
Any questions?
Can you remind me what we're doing for the quarantine? We have like the quarantine is that private residence, or are we renting a place for quarantine? I remember there was some discussion about.
Yeah, right now they're hoping to use hotel rooms, and they've tried to reserve hotel rooms, or at least have hotels that have agreed to have hotel rooms ready. Luckily, we haven't had to quarantine that many recently, but the last one that was quarantined, they did use a hotel room.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Thanks for the
Thank
report.
Just
Oh, go
to
ahead.
follow up on Michael's question too, I think the ideal situation is like an apartment or a rental house, but we just haven't been able to find any. So I know that I sent something out to some other supervisors like, hey, if you know of anything, and Sarah had some ideas that didn't end up coming through. So I think, David, correct me if I'm wrong, but if anyone has any ideas of a unit that we can rent that is not a hotel room, it's not only ideal because it's a little bit separated, but also a less expensive often option. So.
No, I agree. If we had, we had good luck with a location in Austell, it really worked well for us. But that was sold by the owner. So if anyone does know of a location, we would certainly look at it with the health department.
Any other questions? Thank you. Fire?
Good afternoon, folks. I just have a annual update for 2021. Our office and staff responded to 54 structure fires and multi-agency responses. We had 13 hazmat responses and 3 cause and origin requests. Our training facility usage, this would be for our first full year. We ended up using the tower and our propane fired props for 1,720 training hours. And the classroom and conference rooms were 8,867 training hours, which is a pretty decent use, but we've got a few more days we can fill in. So hence tonight, we're having a scheduling meeting to start scheduling our spring and summer class sessions. A quick update on the facility capital project status. The wheelchair lift was installed, so we're now ADA compliant. Facilities and MIS are currently working on security cameras for us. And the general contractor still needs to do some ceiling panel installation up over the office areas. That doesn't impact any of the office. It's an added space above the offices. And we continue to enhance our training aids with donations from the fire departments. And what that stuff is stuff it's used or obsolete equipment that they're not using that we can use for demonstration purposes for our classes. And some of the upbeat news, I think, is we tentatively have scheduled a dedication and grand opening for the building on May 21st, 2022. So there's more details to that to follow, but we're pretty proud of the place and we really appreciate the support from the Board of Supervisors and we want to show it off a little.
That's great. Thank you. Are there questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
EMS?
Good afternoon, everyone. Kevin Johnson. I'm standing in for PJ. He's tied up at another appointment. First item is the medical director. Approve a contract with a medical director for supervision of the Columbia County EMS and Columbia County 911 departments. We're required to have a medical director. This would be no budget amendments, a $10,000 contract. No budget amendment. It will come from our professional services account. And the contract was reviewed and approved by Rob Simmons.
Move it, Kippy.
Second?
Second, Shemitas.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So carried.
Okay, next item is another resolution request, a second contract. This is just a routine renewal of our contract between Columbia County EMS and the 5 EMS agencies that allows us to operate county EMS. This is being done in conjunction with our 2022 New York State DOH renewal.
I'll move it, Morel.
Second?
Second, Kippy.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So carried.
And lastly, our year-end stats for 2021. Call volume was up pretty significantly over 2020. I would caution you not to read too much into that because 2020 call volume was down pretty substantially due to the pandemic. So we knew we would be up. But if you compare it to 2019, which was a more normal year, it's still up. Calls for service were up over 2019, 4%, with responses up 8%. So the county EMS system is it's working hard every day. We're relying on it more and more as agencies deal with staffing problems. Things fall back onto the county EMS systems to get the calls answered.
Kevin, I have a question.
Yes.
How is it going with the home health aid program? And were we able to successfully hire people? Have they been really busy, not so busy? Is our whole waiting list taken care of? Can you just give a little update on where things are at with that?
Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of information on that. PJ has basically taken care of that of himself, and I don't honestly know. I don't want to tell you something wrong.
Is that Kevin McDonald you're looking for, Tistra? Is it OFA?
It's
Yeah,
not
wrong committee. So
Yeah.
sorry. Just kidding.
that's
Ignore me.
Last night.
Kevin McDonald. That's
But
fine.
their list has been exhausted, just so you know.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, Kevin. Wrong Kevin. Just
That's
ignore
okay.
me. It's been one of those days for me today.
PJ, we've been working on something similar with home checks. I thought that's what you were referring to.
Last I knew, they had filled those positions, but I think we can, send out a little note to Kevin. He can get those answered for you, Tistria, for sure.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So just going back to that 4% rise, you were saying that because the like local EMS services are getting overwhelmed, that they're like kicking it over to the county, and that's why there's a 4% increase, or that's
Well,
part of why.
The 4% increase is the actual call volume. So that's actual calls for service. The response volume is up 8%. That's where the county EMS system comes in. So the total responses is up 8%. And yes, it's where agencies are unavailable for whatever reason, but a lot of it's been staffing, and it gets kicked over to the county EMS system to another ambulance.
So then like a different, like an out of service ambulance will come to provide support.
Right. I don't know if you notice you've traveled different parts of the county, like out in Claverick at 9H and 23 and Bell's Pond, you'll see like a Volusia ambulance sitting there. They're posting there waiting for another call. We put them in position in case a call comes in. And then if it does, they respond under the auspices of the county EMS system.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all we have, Chairman.
Are there any other questions from anybody from the committee? If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Mr.
Second.
Chairman,
All.
Mr. Chairman, Paul Chaika here.
How are you, sir? We did, we went through your resolution in the beginning and it was approved.
Well, I just wanted to apologize for being late.
Not a problem at all.
I was trying to join the meeting, but I realized you were on Google and not Teams.
Okay.
I was wondering why you wouldn't let me on the meeting.
I think you were near the beginning, but we approved your resolution, so.
At least you didn't ask a question of a department head that had absolutely nothing to do with the department you were asking about.
Hey, there's still time.
Is there anything else you'd like to say, Mr. Chaika?
Don't put me in jail, Judge. You used to do that, I remember. Thank you.
Time. Thank you. All right. I think we had a first. Do we have a second for the adjournment?
We did, I
Okay.
think Chimides did, yep.
Okay.
Supervisor Chimides.
Thank you, everybody. And again, welcome to the committee.
Thanks
Thank
all.
you.
All in
Take
favor?
care.
Aye.
See some of you at the next meeting.
So carried. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
January 1/19/22, first meeting going. I hope it's a short one, but I don't think it's going to be because, we have the squats here anyways, how that plays out. So I would like to start with the Board of Election. Kelly Miller Simmons is up first.
Hi, everyone. I just have, I had a resolution to hire someone to start training as my deputy. It's a $20 an hour election technician position, and she'll be in training probably for the next, on and off, probably for the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Funding's all there, right?
Yes.
I'll move it.
I'll second it. Adams?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
That's it?
That's it.
Thank Kelly. Have a good night.
Thanks. You guys too.
Good, Michael.
Okay, next up is Miss Holly Tanner, County Clerk.
Hello, can you hear me? Oh,
We can.
can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi, good evening, everybody. So I am here to, I have a resolution request to fill 2 vacant budgeted motor vehicle cashier examiner positions in the DMV. That's my dog.
I'll move it, Morel.
He supports it.
Second, Rick.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Is that it, Holly?
That's it, unless anyone has any questions.
Oh, that was quick. Okay, thank you, Holly.
Okay.
Have a good night.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Aye.
And next up is MIS, Chris Sweet.
Evening, everybody. My resolution is basically to amend our shared services agreement to add video services for the towns and just some direction on when to start and stop the meetings.
So is that a question about, before you get on, about starting and stopping the meetings, are you asking that question from the board?
No, we're not. We're just basically, that's what the verbiage is in the amendment.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I call it saying. Thank you.
I would move the resolution with a motion.
I have a motion. I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Is that it, Mr. Sweet?
That's all, sir. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Appreciate
Have a good night.
Are we gonna put the resolutions on the screen or don't need to?
They are on.
No, they're not.
No.
I apologize. I'm sitting here scrolling
Ooh.
through.
Don't tell me we got to start over.
I'm sorry. I have.
I had them on my screen. I didn't notice it.
I am so
Okay.
sorry.
That's real property. Suzette, Boy.
Hello, thank you. I just wanted to update the committee quick on a few projects that we're working on pertaining to shared services and reassessment projects in various towns. The first 2 are Chatham and Ghent. They are revals for this year, 2022. And right now the valuation part of the project is being worked on. And in early February, a file will be sent to New York State for their analysis and review. After that, by the 1st of March, notices will go out to property owners indicating what their preliminary assessment will be, and they will have opportunities to meet with the assessors in March to bring forward information for the assessors as to their value of their property if they do not agree with the new value. So the projects are continuing along, and so far so good with both of those towns. I'm hoping to be meeting with the town boards along with the assessors in February. Craig already said yes for Ghent. And I put an email out to the assessor first in Chatham. Also, we've already started working on 2023 projects, and Stockport was the first one that we're working on with that. And within the next month or so, we will be done with the data verification part of it.
and which is going door to door and taking the photographs. And after that, mailers will go out to those residential property owners, and they'll have a chance to review that inventory. In February, I'll also be meeting with the Ancrum Town Board, and they are the next 2023 project that we'll be working on, and we're anticipating starting there in early March. So we're busy and we're moving along, and all seems to be going well at the present time. But I did just have one very quick thing that was not on my agenda. Does anybody have any questions about any of the projects? Okay. Just one quick thing. There's been a change to a real property tax law pertaining to mobile home owners and star exemptions. And I just wanted to update you all because letters will be put in the mail this week by New York State to mobile home owners. And this is for mobile homes that are on property that is not owned by the actual mobile home owner. So such as a mobile home park. They will no longer be receiving a star exemption on the park tax bill. They will have to register with New York State to receive a star credit check. And I think that works to the advantage of the mobile home owner. I think the parks are probably going to have a problem with the new law because they will no longer receive any type of star exemption on their tax bill. But it's a state program. The state is reaching out directly to these people that are impacted. But I did just want to let you guys know that is happening now, and it's in case you hear anything. But your assessors have been made aware of it by the state as well, but it's really nothing to do with them. It's got to go directly to New York State. Any questions? So,
Suzette, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Are you staffed properly to help out towns if something happens to their people?
Right now, no.
No. Are you staffed properly? Do you have enough staff to do what you're doing right now?
No, but I do have a new position that was approved through the budget. It's not a valuation position or it won't be any kind of a position that would be able to step in if a town loses an assessor. It's more of a clerical type position at this point. It's definitely something that we've been in a good spot over the years with other assessors picking up additional towns as assessors retire. And the end of the next term is 2025, September 30th of 2025. And I'm thinking we'll see some assessors retire at that point. So it's definitely something that I'm thinking about moving forward, how to prepare for that. But right now, no, our office would not be able to. Temporarily, I could help, but I cannot be appointed legally as an assessor in a town, nor can Judy, our deputy director. So.
Okay, so you could help out in emergency. Otherwise, we have to go back.
I can definitely help out in an emergency myself, and yes, we have done it over the years at various times to make sure that a town can continue smoothly. But we don't have anyone on staff that could be officially named an assessor for a town.
Okay. That's something we'll have to look at and talk about later.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay.
Does anybody else have any questions? Okay, Suzette, thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Have a
Thank
good
you.
night.
Bill Better, please, if you're on, still on.
I'm still on. I'm right here. Hello, everybody. Happy New Year. I wanted to, I don't know if my agenda's up, but I wanted to just update you on a few things. I have submitted my annual report, and that's Kelly just put it up. And my goals for the year are the Clarkson Chapel had a little thing called the Bell Cote, which is the way in which the bell for the chapel is held up. It was dismantled because of its condition. Part of it's in the basement of 401 State Street. Part of it's in the basement of 610 State Street. So my goal is to try and get that replicated and get it fixed and get it reconstructed for the year. I also intend to help Mrs. Tanner, who's trying to get a grant for the restoration and conservation of some maps that she has that belong to the Livingston family from the 1820s and 30s. And I'm going to assist the town of Stuyvesant with their railroad project and any other town that comes along. Probably the biggest thing we're going to start doing in earnest, and we had a meeting of historians on Sunday, was the 250th celebration. And I mentioned this to Chairman Morrell and Kelly Beccaro. It's time to reactivate what we had started last year. We have a number of historians that are anxious to work on it. In the year 2026, for the new supervisors here tonight, the year 2026 is the 250th anniversary of the birth of America. It is also the 250th anniversary of General Knox's Cannon Trail from Lake Champlain, Lake George to Boston. And that cannon caravan passed through Columbia County in the winter months 250 years ago in 2026. And that's a pretty big deal. It resulted in the British being forced to evacuate Boston. So that will be a big celebration as well. And that passed through Ghent, Hillsdale, and Kinderhook. The nonprofit was set up, and I'm applying for the Internal Revenue Service designation, which is the next step, and that should be done in the first quarter of this year. And I was funded for a part-time assistant, and I have someone. Her name is Carrie Van Buren. She's a direct lineal descendant of the president. She has a master's degree from the University of Pennsylvania in historic preservation, has previously served in a variety of capacities in the development world and in historic preservation worlds. And she's a great asset. So she's out becoming acquainted with what she needs to do to help. And again, I want to thank the Board of Supervisors. Sherry Franks has helped set up the website. I don't know if you had a chance to look at it. You should take a look at it. It's great. It's been populated by different historians throughout the county, but the photographs are great. The images are great. It's really a wonderful thing, and we've only just started. And we're proceeding with the historic sites map as well, which a number of towns have already supplied different sites that, working with the planning department, Don Meltz and Patrice Perry, we will end up with what amounts to a virtual brochure of all the different historic sites that are available in a particular community. If you're going to spend the weekend in Hillsdale and you pull this site up on your GPS, you'll know exactly where historic sites are in the town, and you can go take a look at them, visit them if they're public, etc. It's really a wonderful tool to encourage tourism. So that's what we're working on, folks.
All right, Bill. Anybody got any questions for Bill? Okay.
I'm not on the committee, but I have a question, Chairman Weigel. Is that okay if I ask a question?
Sure, absolutely. I just said that. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And this might be because I'm not on the committee and I don't attend all the meetings, but you said that you're applying for nonprofit status. What is that for? A nonprofit for what?
Well, so what happens is municipalities aren't supposed to accept gifts. So what happens is you have a friends organization. Most libraries have a friends organization. They're friends of Alana. There's friends of Claremont. Friends of different historic sites. And what that is, it's a fundraising arm to apply for primarily grants to assist, especially municipally owned facilities. Now, for example, in the town of Stuyvesant, Supervisor Knott owns a little railroad station that's right along the river, and this organization can receive grants and disperse it on behalf of the town of Stuyvesant. So, and we can also administer funds that he's otherwise given. So that's the impetus for all that. It is a methodology by which people can raise money and provide and apply for grants to receive grants to do enhanced projects for municipalities who are otherwise not supposed to accept gifts.
And would it be Friends of Columbia County or specifically Friends of the Historic, Columbia County? Is it only historic focus?
Well, it's Friends of Columbia County History. So it's, and actually Hillsdale has one that's Hillsdale specific. The town of Germantown has one that's Germantown specific. But I wanted to have one that's available to any Columbia County entity. For example, there's been some talk, we haven't gotten to that point yet, of talking to Supervisor Weigout. He has a bridge that some of his folks and his historian would like to do something with.
And we also have a schoolhouse down there.
I know. There's a never ending list. And we got a chapel and everything else.
Yeah.
That's really great to know about, because New Lebanon definitely has a lot of really important historic sites, and
well,
some of them
if you have,
we've thought about grants for, but we don't know where to go to apply.
Holler,
so thank
Supervisor, and we'll be happy to see what we can do. We're all kind of exploring this. The state historian, who's affiliated with the education department, a man by the name of Devin Landor, nice guy, and he has encouraged this. He actually is trying to do one for the entire state of New York, but has encouraged us tremendously to try and push forward. The historians are really a very energized group in the last couple of years, and it's really great to see him do this.
Great, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Anything else, folks?
Okay, Mr. Better, thank you very much.
Thank you all. Take care. Bye-bye.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Okay, everybody. We're going to go on with the county attorney, Chris Watts, and I know there's going to be a few frustrations here, but you're going to have to hang with us because I think we have to go executive session, but we'll see when that happens. Chris, you got the floor.
Chairman, can we do this resolution first? This is
whatever you want to do.
Before we go into executive. This is authorization for the County of Columbia to offer an optional 20-year retirement plan to Theodore Blank, a deputy sheriff employed by such county. Chairman Morrell, do you want to elaborate on this, or Rob Fitzsimmons?
I can elaborate on it, Kelly. So Theodore Blank, and it says this in the resolution, he was originally a communication officer at the Columbia County Sheriff's Office. So he was a Tier 5 pension employee, subject to the regular Columbia County employee pension. At one point in time, he switched to become a deputy sheriff, and that makes him eligible for a 20-year pension. It's a better pension for police officers. What happened is his paperwork making that switch never made it to the state retirement board. So as he progressed along, and the timeline is in there, we discovered he was in the wrong pension. So we went to the powers that be, and they said we had to ask the Senate and Assembly to pass a special piece of legislation, which the governor just signed into New York State law, that is the Theodore Blank pension law, that allows him to switch from the wrong pension to the right pension. And the county will do the makeup contributions, the differences between the two pensions, and then he'll be back at par, so to speak, back at standard. That's the nature of it. If you recall, I think in the spring, we made the original home rule request, and then it went through the Senate Assembly and was signed. So the pension department and the New York State controllers need you to pass a formal resolution making the final switch.
And I believe this is the final step, and this will be done with this.
That's the plan. Yep.
Okay.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second Adams.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
So I'd just like to say, I know this has been an incredibly complicated process, and thanks to all who made this possible for Mr. Blank.
Okay. Now, do you want to go to Chris Watts, Kelly?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Watts, what?
Thanks, Kelly. I make a motion to go into executive session for litigation.
Second, Rick.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Now we have to take a few minutes till we get everybody turned out or in. How
Okay, Chairman Wydell, go ahead.
Chris, would you tell us what you would like? You can put it to us and then we'll make the vote.
Sure, I'd just like a motion to move forward with the tax foreclosures, for the county attorney's office to move forward with the tax foreclosures.
I will make that motion.
For 2016 and 2017, correct?
Well, those are the first 2 years, yes, but we would be moving forward just in, in sequence.
Go back to normal activities.
Right.
I have a motion. I need a second.
I'll second that, Simmons.
Simmons, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There you go, Chris. You're all
All right.
set.
Have a great night.
Thanks, Chris. Okay, Kelly.
Okay, so just bear with me. We're gonna cut the live feed for a moment while I get the presenters on the line with Patrice. Okay,
Okay.
Oswaldo, can you cut the live feed for? Let us know when you're ready, Oswaldo. Okay, Patrice.
Okay, I have a few things tonight. The first one is authorization to appoint a member to the Environmental Management Council. It's for the town of Ancrum representative, Colleen Lutz, to serve at the pleasure of the Board of Supervisors for a period not to exceed 2 years.
So moved, Adams.
Need a second?
Second, Rick.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay, the next two resolutions relate to the annual addition of parcels of predominantly agricultural lands into existing Columbia County agricultural districts pursuant to New York State Department of Ag and Markets Law, Article 25 AA, Section 303B. The applications are accepted annually during the month of October, and they're reviewed by the County Ag and Farmland Protection Board, and their recommendation is submitted to the Board of Supervisors. That's part of the package that you received. That report was included. A public hearing was also held, and the Planning Department prepared the environmental assessment form. And once all of these are completed and the Board of Supervisors makes their determination, then this will be submitted to the Commissioner of Ag and Markets
for review and certification. So it's kind of a lengthy process. And for this year, we received 5 applications for 7 parcels for 101.62 acres. 2 applications, the parcels were already in an existing ag district. The Ag and Farmland Protection Board reviewed the remainder and recommend that 2 parcels located in the town of Ghent, totaling 50.5 acres, be added to County Ag District number 10. The agricultural use is forced pasture and harvesting sap for sugaring. The property owners for 1 parcel is Jeffrey W. French, Ghent tax parcel 85.1-10.121. And the other is Ian G. French, Ghent tax parcel 85-1-10.121. So the first resolution would authorize the Board of Supervisor as seeker lead agents to make a determination that the addition of Ag and Markets Law Article 25AA, Agricultural District Section 303B properties to Columbia County Agricultural District number 10 will not have a significant environmental impact and will not require an environmental impact statement, and that a negative declaration be issued by said County Board of Supervisors. As I mentioned, the Planning Department prepares the short environmental assessment form in order to identify existing environmental and natural resources on the parcels that are proposed to be added to the Ag District. For this year's additions, there were federal wetlands and a New York State DEC classified C stream that were identified on the parcels. There are no proposal to do any disturbance of those or any crossings. And the Planning Department recommends that the answers to each of the questions on the Part 2 of the environmental assessment form be answered that no or small impact may occur as a result of the additions to the Ag District. Now, this Part 2 of the EAF will be gone. Rob will go over that with you during the full board meeting, but in looking at each of the items, there will be no change to the land use. There are no changes in the zoning. The proposed use is complies with the existing zoning in Ghent. The character of and the quality of the community will not be altered as this use is an existing agricultural use. The proposed action, there isn't an environmental, a critical environmental area located in the town of Ghent, so there'll be no impact there. The proposed action will not result in increase in any levels of traffic. It's an existing use and they're not proposing to expand it or increase any levels of traffic entering or leaving the parcels. There'll be no change or increase in the use of energy. The proposed action will not result in the development of any additional public or private water supplies or public or private wastewater treatment utilities. And the proposed action will not impair the quality of quality or character of any important historical, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources that are not present on the site. The proposed action will not result in an adverse change to the natural resources. As I mentioned, there are no proposed plans to disturb or the wetlands or cross the stream or disturb it in any other way. And the existing uses are in place and have been for a few years. Also, because there's no proposed development, there's no potential for increase in erosion, flooding, or drainage problems. And there's no proposed change in the intensity of the use, and so will not create a hazard to environmental resources or human health. So as I mentioned, those are the questions that are asked on the Part 2 environmental assessment form. The Planning Department recommends that all be found to have no or small impact occurring because the addition of lands into existing ag district will not change the land use. So that would be that's the first resolution. It involves the environmental assessment form.
Okay, so do we need a motion? Anybody from the committee? have any questions?
I think there's a question, Kippy.
Yeah,
Brenda Adams has a question.
Thank you. Just a quick question, Patrice, on the part 2. Is there any clear cutting that's going to be done that would result in the movement of water?
No,
Potential for erosion?
they're using the trees that are existing are they use the trees for sap or sugaring operations. So there aren't any plans for clear cutting that I'm aware of that were presented as part of the application.
Thank you very much.
anybody else?
I'd be honored to move this, Simmons from Ghent.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, Patrice, next one.
Okay, so the second resolution still pertains to this, and that's the resolution to approve the addition of the 2021 New York State Ag and Markets Law, Article 25A, Ag District Section 303B properties to Columbia County Ag District number 10. That would be 2 parcels located in the town of Ghent, total of 50.5 acres. As I mentioned before, one owned by Jeffrey W. French, parcel 85.1-10.111 to Ag District 10, and the second parcel owned by E&G French, Ghent, parcel 85.1-10.121 to Ag District 10.
Okay, I need a motion.
Once again, I'd like to move this, Simmons.
Okay, second.
I'll second it, Shimidas.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay, thank you. The next resolution is authorization to enter into an agreement to commence promotion of a community solar campaign. Now, just as a little introduction, the Climate Smart Community Task Force has a subcommittee that's been working very diligently on this initiative for the county. And they provided a detailed overview of the process in the packet that you received, as well as the proposals that that were received, that were solicited as a part of the request for application, the RFA process for the countywide community solar campaign. They received 5 proposals in total, and they were competing proposals. And all of those were evaluated to determine the company that would best serve the interests of the prospective customers in the area. The criteria evaluated included customer discount and credit, county payment, utility capacity from National Grid, NYSEG, and Central Hudson. The scope of their campaigns, their customer service, consolidated billing options, OGS list, as well as the termination process. The task force then considered the subcommittee's recommendation and voted to recommend that the county consider entering into agreement with 2 companies, and that's Astral Oya Solar Company and Nexamp Solar. And we have representatives from both of those solar companies here tonight that are planning to give presentations on their proposals. And the presentation order would be the Astral Oya, presented by Kara Humphrey and Pallavi Balakrishnan. And the second will be from Nexamp, Jared Sonnet.
Okay. Are we ready, Kelly?
I'm not sure if those folks are presenting.
Yes, I'm here. Kara, hello, everybody. Kara Humphrey with Astral Power. And may I present my screen?
You can.
Great. Everybody see this? Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
And everybody can hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And actually, start from the beginning. So thank you everyone for this long-awaited opportunity to meet with the Board of Supervisors and the governing body and
and present on community solarized campaign for Columbia County. As I mentioned, my name is Cara Humphrey. I live in Columbia County with my partner Berge and our dog Gus and cat Bijou. I am representing Astral Power this evening, and with me tonight is my very good colleague, Pallavi Balakrishnan of Oya Solar. You want to say hi, Pallavi?
Hi, everyone. Sorry, I was just waiting.
Yes.
But I'll introduce myself when the slide comes up.
Yes.
Hi, everyone, and nice meeting everyone today.
So Astral Power is a customer acquisition subscriber management company, and Oya Solar is a solar developer, asset owner, and manages all of their subscribers' accounts. And some exciting news on the Astral Power front. Back in November, Astral Power merged with Neighborhood Sun. And Neighborhood Sun, much like Astral Power, is a community-focused community solar subscription and customer management organization. As a clean energy provider, we save residents and businesses money on their electric costs, strive for energy equity, and help to preserve and restore the environment. Our mission is to build stronger communities and empower neighborhoods to subscribe to solar projects so that they can save money and support New York's transition to a greener grid. Grid. Say that 3 times fast. We will continue to be pleased that we're a certified B Corp with the highest score in the solar industry. We hire local employees with on-the-job training. We are a diverse group with bilingual employees. We have bilingual contracts and marketing material upon request. We're very focused on energy equity and serving disadvantaged communities, one of the hardest and more challenging communities to gain consumer trust. And we are equally as focused on being transparent, both in our outreach, our enrollment, and our ongoing care. Neighborhood Sun and Astral Power have built their companies on industry experience and what the industry lacked. Astral Power, now energized by Neighborhood Sun, will continue to operate as a B Corp, meeting the highest environmental, community, governance, and employee standards in the business. And I'm very proud to share with you that Neighborhood Sun was awarded the prestigious Best for the World Environmental Award in 2021. Our marketing materials, websites, and sign-up process are transparent and bilingual, as I mentioned. And we are among the industry's leaders serving low to moderate income communities. Pallavi?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Can everyone hear me okay? Perfect. So hi everyone, my name is Pallavi and I'm from Oya Solar. Oya, just to give you a quick background, is a solar energy developer, and we've been in the industry for over 10 years now. So over the past 10 years, we've developed a deep expertise in developing solar energy projects, specifically community solar projects. And so we have knowledge about all aspects of it, all the way from securing land leases to the project development and construction phase of the project, as well as through to the end, which is the operation and management of a project. Now, a typical project can last anywhere from 25 to 35 years. So we have that expertise all through the value chain of solar energy projects. So as a result, we have a relationship not only with the landowner of a solar project, but also with the end user, the subscriber. So for example, like with the residents of Columbia County, we will be holding the relationship really closely to us. And during the operation of the project, during the 25 to 30 years, we try our best to involve
local landscaping contractors and local farmers by having their sheep graze on our land. Another thing that makes us very unique is that we actively choose to develop solar in challenging locations and abandoned land. And we make sure that our program is accessible to communities that typically face high barriers to participation, such as what Cara mentioned, which is low moderate income groups. We believe that everyone should have access to local clean energy, and that's what makes it different from traditional rooftop. That's what community solar is about. So that's what our mission is, to make it very accessible. Equity and inclusion are values that are not only important to us from a subscriber and end user standpoint, but also very important when it comes to our employee base. So we're committed to diversity in all its forms at all layers of our workforce and leadership. And we've demonstrated this by becoming certified in New York and New Jersey as a minority business enterprise. And we're really proud to be one of the few, if not only, developer that is minority certified in New York. With respect to our project base, we have many in the pipeline stage, as you can see, across several states, and we're currently very heavily focused in New York, with over 100 megawatts coming on the grid in the next few years. So to put that number in perspective, we're looking at enough solar power to power over 17,000 US homes on average. And so we're really excited to make that positive environmental impact in New York, and specifically in Columbia County. Out of the 100 megawatts, approximately 20 to 30% has been dedicated to quite a few municipalities in New York, including Rensselaer County, a city in Oswego County, and several other towns and villages. And we look forward to having Columbia County and its residents join us in our mission to
MySafe subscribers. If the project is in National Grid, then National Grid customers can subscribe to those National Grid projects. And so any homeowner, renter, or small business owner can subscribe to community solar. And there's a much larger carve out of these projects coming up for, as we mentioned, disadvantaged communities, getting the benefit of the renewable energy benefits out to the folks that are most affected by their electricity bill, to get that savings to them. So in a very short amount of time, in just a few minutes, you can subscribe online or with the help of a specialist. There's no fees to join, there's no panels to install, and there's no switching electric companies. Once the project is built and is generating power, then the savings start happening. The subscriber will receive credits for the electricity that their share is generating, and the savings will show on the electric bill. There's no double bill, it's all consolidated billing. And the average savings per year is equivalent to approximately a month of free electricity per year. Signing up, as I mentioned, is very easy. You can use a mobile phone online. And of course, as I mentioned, we have local representation that can certainly meet with folks or walk them through the sign-up process. Once a subscriber signs up, there is, of course, before they sign up, there's marketing and education and outreach, which is part of what Solarize is all about. Then we confirm their enrollment, make sure that they understand, the subscriber understands that they've subscribed and what the timeline looks like for them to receive their credits. And then in New York State, we have a allocation queue, as it's sometimes referred to, where there is a waiting period before that solar project begins to produce electricity. All along this period of waiting, there is quarterly newsletters that are being sent out. And then once the customer is allocated to a project, they'll receive a welcome email, both from our end and from Oya Solar, and then they start receiving their credits.
Community outreach and education, and really kind of at the heart of Solarize is when you have, the Solarize model tackles three major market barriers, which is number one, consumer trust and complexity. Complexity in the sense that people are inundated with clean energy flyers and direct mail pieces. And when you don't know who to trust, you don't do anything. So another major market barrier is inertia, consumer inertia. Solarize programs date back to 2008. And team members at Astral Power and Neighborhood Sun have participated in 30 Solarize campaigns going back as far as 2010. NYSERDA is now celebrating 11 years of Solarize campaigns in New York. And back in 2021, the leadership campaign was launched, which gives incentives to municipalities. In 2021, Astral Power oversaw the Village of Warwick Solarize, the Village of Kinderhook Solarize, Town of Chatham, and currently underway both the Town of Chatham and Town of Austerlitz Solarize campaigns. In 2021, we enrolled 125 Columbia County residents and small businesses through Solarize campaigns. A very important element of a successful campaign is the community-led outreach. As I mentioned earlier, one of the biggest barriers and challenges with community solar is consumer trust. And when volunteers help to distribute flyers and post on social media and websites and help to organize workshops, virtual or in person, this delivers a direct appeal from one friend to another to join the campaign. When volunteers are supported by community coalitions or such as the Climate Smart Task Force, they understand that it's our mission to help people. We're harnessing community power in this way, and the community becomes invested in the success of the campaign. And the scope and scale of the outreach is amplified, and the community at large is more responsive to these appeals. And we have our contact information here. We can certainly send this presentation out to the group. And before we take any questions, I'm not sure if you want to go over to Jared first before questions. I did want to say in closing, and before we take questions, some of you may know that I've been involved with Climate Smart since 2015 here in Columbia County. And I just, for the record, wanted to reiterate, when any Solarize conversations emerged, I have respectfully recused myself from any and all discussions. And thank you very much for this opportunity. I'll hand it over and stop sharing.
Okay, Kelly?
Yep. Supervisor Cousin has her hand up.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, I just had a couple of questions. Does your organization coming to the county provide employment for locals or training for locals? That's one question. And then what does the education piece for the community actually look like? How long is that process? And when you talk about campaigns, what exactly does that look like?
Well, I believe that the Dave Newman would probably be better to answer the duration. I think that the timeline for the campaign was possibly a year. I'm not sure. Originally, I think that the thinking was that would launch sooner than now. So I'm not sure what our timeline is, but it's a good number of months. And what the education looks like is really frequently a lot of hand-holding. But again, you know, with the task force, the Climate Smart Task Force, and the other municipalities that have climate smart communities, or maybe they're just emerging, some nascent climate smart communities throughout the county, they will, you know, we will have landing pages, we will have digital and paper collateral to share, and that will be going out on social media, on the county website, I imagine. And it's, you know, making ourselves available to help people understand what community solar is, that it's not a trick. It's a state program. We're not looking to, give you a discount now and a year later you'll have your rates go up. In fact, with community solar, we don't discount the rate that's on your bill. What we're doing is marrying you to a project that then entitles the subscriber to credits, which will be discounted right on the bill. You'll see the savings right on the bill. And so it's that kind of education, and having a trusted local entity that is supporting this effort really dispels a lot of consumer distrust. From you know, consumers there's been a path that's been torched across the Northeast, and in particular in New York, from retail energy suppliers, with predatory business practices, and quite frankly, with people in our own industry that have not been transparent and honest with the consumer. So we go to great lengths to make sure that we are hand-holding and making sure that people understand what it is that they're signing up for, and have bilingual agreements and, you know, collateral and so on. And to answer your first question, sorry, I went backwards, that yes, we are very eager to hire locally. You know, the talent pool and just hiring in general is very difficult these days, but as part of NYSERDA's focus on the Inclusive Community Solar campaign, we are very eager to hire locally, both in, you know, so that we can, you know, because it's very important to have a local presence. And yes, thank you.
And oh, sorry, I was just going to add to that, Claire. So from our standpoint as the solar energy developer of the project and manager of the asset, we would start looking for local contractors, such as like farmers and landscaping contractors, kind of towards the end of, you know, when we're ready to energize the farm or the project. So we'll start kind of, you know, reaching out to the county or other representatives locally to engage local farmers to help with sheep grazing, or, you know, taking care of just like the land. So that's what we would do.
And I asked that because on the Conservation Committee in the city of Hudson, the conversation is being had about how to engage the community in these conversations. So I just imagine like some type of Zoom event where you go to the different towns, not just the county board, and provide some, you know, one-on-one consultation type
Absolutely.
of education outside of the social media and the
of course.
Yeah, as to give you an example, what's going on right now in Austerlitz, you've got the Historical Society that's involved. St. Peter's is doing a Zoom call. We're planning meetings at the firehouse. Spencertown Academy put something in their newsletter. You know, it's really this organic generating, getting the information out from trusted leaders in the community.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Supervisor Mussman has her hand up.
I have a lot of questions. The contract that you're offering is 25 years. Did I read that correctly?
It's a 25-year agreement with a 90-day notice to cancel request. So if somebody needs to cancel their agreement, it's really guarantee of savings for 25 years. So you're grandfathered into this savings per year for up to 25 years. If you choose to cancel, you can call or email us to cancel that subscription.
But it takes you 3 months to get out of the contract, as I've read it. Is that correct?
It's correct, and that's really due to utility timelines, because we have to notify the utility to turn off the credits, and it takes the utilities, as we all know, they have their own kind of pace. And so in order to not be sending credits to an account that's no longer there, we need that kind of.
Okay, so I sign up. Who do I get a bill from?
From NYSEG.
From NYSEG. And
or National Grid, whoever your utility is.
And when are my credits calculated? At every month?
Correct. The credits that arrive to your, so just to back up, a share of a local of a project in your utility territory will be earmarked for you based on your usage history and your utility spend. So, and then every month that project is producing electricity, you will be allocated credits through the utility to your utility bill that represent the value of what your share produced. And then those credits are discounted by 10% on your bill. So if you had $100 in credits, you would save $10, and that would show at the bottom of your bill.
But is my bill, do I see that reflected immediately on my bill, or do I wait until those credits are calculated?
It's every month. It's every month. Yes.
I mean, the one thing that, excuse me, the one thing I find that you're asking the county to be the solicitor of customers for you. Am I correct? I mean,
no, it's actually a NYSERDA program that's again about community outreach and education. So the county is getting an incentive from NYSERDA to do an outreach community campaign called Solarize. It used to be rooftop solar, now it's community solar. So the county formed a task force, and in all of their action items, along with the other 100 or so action items in the Climate Smart program, one such program is this outreach education campaign. So they did.
But isn't the county getting a certain amount of money to put in there what was it, the trust fund or sustainable fund for every, I must admit it was 102 pages, which I didn't get to read all of them. And it's a lot to take on, but I'm assuming what I read is that the county has a sustainable fund that each customer that we solicit, that money goes into the sustainable fund.
If that's what is, so what we agreed to is a sign-on bonus for each subscriber, and that's $100, and then a $100 donation. If the county can't accept a $100 donation, or there's no, the county wants to take that and give it to a local organization or do something else, that's up to the county. We have agreed to donate for each enrollment and for helping us do this outreach, $100 to the county, $100 to the sign-on subscriber.
So can you be a little clearer with that? Like, tell me how many $100 per sign up? Like, how many people are you giving? How many people does the county deliver to get $100 donation?
We did not put a cap on. We did not put a cap on our donations or sign-on bonus.
Well, I thought I read that, so I'll have to go back and look at it. It's unclear to me. I must say, your document is hugely complicated, and I have struggled to read through it, and I'm really not even finished reading through it. And this 10% discount, I think, is a very small discount considering the amount of the complex contract. I mean, the city of Hudson has had a great deal of problems with this solar project that we have signed on.
The billing has become extremely complicated. The credits are delivered later and very hard to calculate. And I'm just very cautious that the county enter this without really understanding how this all works. So I'll pass it. I've dominated the conversation. I'll move on. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Chairman Weigel, can I suggest we listen to the second presentation for amount of time and then maybe questions afterward?
That sounds fine to me, yes.
And then maybe, I don't know if I'm the one to suggest this, but since Supervisor Mussman is probably looking for more information, we may end up adjourning the meeting and asking further questions or researching more, give them more time to research.
Okay, that sounds fine to me.
The second presentation.
Hello, thanks for having us. May I present my screen now?
Sure.
Thank you. Hello, so my name is Jared Sonnet. I work at Nexamp, a nationally community solar company that develops and operates battery storage, community solar, and utility scale solar. I have my colleague on here as well, Cameron Johnson. Thank you for having us today. I'll just go into a brief background of our company, an overview of community solar, which the previous presenters covered great, and then kind of go into some small specifics on our proposal. So who are we? We're Nexamp. So we're in 7 states currently. We have 568 megawatts of community solar projects in New York State, either in develop or operating. We're actually New York's largest community solar operator. We have over 35,000 community solar customers participating in our projects nationwide. And we have 50 plus megawatts of agreements with school districts, municipalities, and other governmental entities. So kind of, we really lead the way in a lot of ways. We've been named the top solar power contractor for 8 years in a row. We have a dedicated energy center that monitors our sites 24/7 to make sure everyone's maximizing production. We use pollinator-friendly planting for vegetation at solar farms. And as the previous presenters mentioned, we also do sheep grazing, where we hire local sheep farmers and they can put their sheep on the farm for the summer and spring and then take their sheep away. And that allows us to kind of cut the grass in an eco-friendly way. So kind of some of our advantages is we're a vertically integrated company. So we do everything from development on to community solar and customer support. And our business model is to be the long-term owner operators of these projects. So we don't sell our community solar projects. We want to be part of the host communities. We want to be able to help out the host communities and provide them with revenue from pilots agreements from these solar farms, as well as give customers and municipal entities discounts on their energy that is being generated from these solar farms. So unlike some other developers, like I said, we're vertically integrated. We have a whole in-house sales and customer support team that is dedicated to helping people understand what community solar is, how it works, how to sign up, timelines, and then a customer support team that's about 30 plus people right now that is only dedicated to helping people understand what's happening on their bills, if they have any questions, and then also working pretty deeply with the utilities to make sure they're crediting projects correctly and everything's working as it should. So kind of due to our structure, we have a really robust pipeline of projects through the state as we develop them on our own, and we'll also buy projects at an early stage development. So that kind of gives us 2 ways to maximize the number of customers and solar power we can provide in New York State and in other states that we're in. And the last thing is kind of unique to Nexamp is residential customers do not sign any long-term contracts and are free to cancel at any time. We've kind of pioneered this model, and our lenders are really comfortable now with having our projects have residential customers on there that are not signing any long-term contracts and can cancel at any time. So how community solar works
it was described pretty well before. So unless anyone has any questions, I can just skip this slide and go to the example bill. So this is a sample NexAmp invoice to kind of understand what happens here. So let's say your total energy cost for a month is $10,000. We would provide you $10,000 in solar credits. You get it, and that would zero out your utility bill. So you'd pay nothing to the utility. We would charge you 10% of that $10,000. So you'd pay NexAmp $9,000. So that's $1,000 in savings that month. And this kind of, goes on throughout the life of the time that you're on the program. So some contract details. Residential, as I said, there's no long-term contracts. It's a guaranteed 10% discount for the lifetime of the project. And they're free to cancel at any time upon 90-day notice. And as mentioned before, that's mainly because of the time frame it takes to get a customer off a project. We submit an allocation list every month, and it takes about 3 months for the utility to process that allocation. So as soon as the customer asks us to cancel, we'll remake an allocation list, remove them from the project, but it might be some time before they're removed from the project because of the speed at which the utility handles these allocation lists. And then for larger customers, so county accounts, schools, government entities, businesses, the term length is typically 20 years. Since they sit on the 40% side of the project that is allocated for larger customers, they usually get a bigger discount because they sign a long-term agreement. And the only real provision there is that if the customer decides to leave early, we would be obligated to find some type of replacement entity to go on that portion of the project until the other entity could leave. So, one of our big things is we want to be really with our host communities. So we try to sign up residential and public entities. So that allows the towns and governments and schools to save money on their energy bills, as well as residents in that community to save money. So the larger accounts will sit on the anchor side of the portion. That's 40% of the project, while the smaller residential customers will sit on the 60% side of that project. And this is really what allows us to offer this flexibility for the residential customers, because we have a long-term anchor agreement on 40% side of the project. We feel very comfortable allowing customers to not sign any long-term contracts. And this basically enables guaranteed savings on electric costs while being able to stay with any current electric provider, as we know that many schools and businesses have third-party ESCOs. So this allows them to maintain that ESCO and get that discounted energy rate, as well as sign up to receive energy credits. So this is just, potential savings that someone could expect over the lifetime of a contract. This obviously depends on size of the entity, the amount that they're spending on energy. But, municipal accounts can save over $600K over the life of a contract. And depending on the residential contracts and how many people there are, they can save up to $1 million. And this obviously varies from project to project, depending on when the project was permitted, what type of incentive it's getting from the state. So some of our capacity right now, currently in National Grid, we have 25 available megawatts ready to go. In NYSEG, we currently have 5. So we're very focused on providing a good customer experience. And that means telling people very clearly when we think they're going to get on the project. So currently, National Grid residents can expect to be on a project within 6 to 9 months. In NYSEG, we currently have a waiting list, but more capacity should be opened now that New York State just wrote the white paper for the consecutive program. The incentives had kind of dried up. So there was a lull in development for a bit. And now that the white paper has been published, there's a clear path forward to get projects moving again. And then for the larger anchor customers, they usually take a little bit longer to sit on a project. Depending on what project they would be put on, it usually is in Q2 through Q4 2023. We've worked really throughout the years to spread awareness of community solar. So I would say most towns we go into that we put projects in, we work with the local government there to inform residents of what we're doing. how they could save money on it, and then work with the local government to send out letters explaining what it is. So we really have a deep experience with all different forms of advertising, such as digital ads, direct mail, social media, content, and then we also like to support at tabling events. So we send some of our sales professionals to different communities, and they sit at a table and kind of explain what's happening and how they can sign up and the benefits. We also have really deep LMI experience, especially because a lot of the states we operated in, there's very strict rules that a percentage of the project must be allocated to LMI customers. So we're really good at verifying that someone is LMI and putting them on that project. Usually an LMI customer gets a deeper discount than a non-LMI customer. And so we have CS sales professionals that are really good bilingual speakers, and they're good at kind of making LMI customers understand what they're signing up for. And, as it was mentioned in the previous presentation, a lot of these LMI customers are located in environmental justice areas. So they've historically gotten the brunt of all the bad emissions, whether it's, their garbage trucks are rolling through or they're siting a power plant there. So we're really focused on giving them the benefits of community solar, as well as trying to build local arrays in these environmental justice communities. So I just thought I'd throw some beautiful pictures of solar on here. This is in the town of Westerlo, in CHE&G territory. And then this is in the town of Newfield, which is in NYSEG. And we actually signed up, the town of Newfield is actually on this project. They power their streetlights through it. So thank you. Appreciate the time to present and hearing me out and reading through. Linda, I know those RFP responses were long, so I'm sorry for that. And I thank you for giving it a read.
Okay, thank you. I don't know what the committee would like to do. If you want to do questions and answers, but I think we got a lot of questions that want to be asked, and I think there's a lot of this that we should look at. I don't know if we can, my opinion is, I don't know if we can make a decision on the two companies without looking into it for more detail. I just don't think it's right. That's my opinion. Again, that's not the committee's decision, but I'm just looking at this. I'd like to learn more on it, and we sure as heck go online and learn more about the companies and see what this is about. What does the committee feel? Hello? Linda Moosman?
You're on mute, Linda.
I'd like a little, some more time to read the fine print. Thank you.
Thank you.
Supervisor Adams has her hand up too.
Yep.
So I just wanted to provide some context for this information. I agree that it's a lot of information to ask the government committee to consider, but I would also like to represent that the Climate Smart Task Force spent a good deal of time doing an in-depth review of both of these proposals, as well as the three that did not move forward. So I think there's, for instance, to answer Linda's question, we have a community solar plan in the town of Canaan, and we had 80 people sign up in 3.5-4 weeks. And a lot of the feedback that I got from community members were to Kara's point that they'd been receiving material in the mail for years, but they didn't know what to do with it. They didn't know if it was genuine, and they didn't know how to navigate that material. So I think that we as a task force and we as a committee can perform a valuable function in making and having vetted one or more companies to provide this service so that people can save on their utility bills.
You have your hand up.
Yeah, Brenda did cover a lot of what I wanted to say, that the task force has been working on this to try and answer some of these questions, but I did know that the supervisors on the committee may well share some of these questions and concerns, and that's why I wanted the presenters to come and present some of the information. One of the things, just to be clear, it seems to me in the task force we had talked about the fact that the task force is interested in moving ahead to try and promote this, the Climate Smart Task Force, and that the committee is interested in moving ahead to try and promote this, the Climate Smart Task Force, and that the committee is interested in moving ahead to try and promote this, the Climate Smart Task Force, and that the committee is interested in moving ahead to try and promote this, the Climate Smart Task Force, and that the committee is interested in moving ahead to try and promote this, the Climate Smart Task Force, and that the committee is interested in moving ahead to try and promote this, the Climate Smart Task Force, and that the committee is interested in moving ahead to try and promote this, the Climate Smart Task Force, and that the committee is interested in moving ahead to try and promote this, the Climate Smart Task Force, and that the committee is interested in moving ahead to try and promote this, the Climate Smart Task Force, and that the committee is interested in moving ahe
for residents, so that the residents can have the opportunity to sign up for these credits, and that will give the task force credit for doing that job. The resolution that Patrice did draft together to consider this did say that the county was going to purchase electricity from one of these companies, and it is something in the task force meetings. I thought that we had made that clear, that that would take another step in the process, because in the beginning we thought the controller's office was going to do this project like we did our previous electric rates, but we didn't do that specifically for the county. The task force did dive into this and do a request for applications, and we were looking at who could we let the task force make recommendations to. And it's my understanding that the task force wants to make recommendations directly to the residents, for the residents to sign up, and the county doesn't have any liability for that. We're not expending any money to actually promote it other than our volunteers' work. If the county was going to purchase their electric from one of these providers, that would take kind of another RFP process through the controller's office.
Okay.
That's my understanding.
Mike Bashidi? Mike?
Oh, I'll let David speak first. He has his hand raised also.
What's that? I didn't hear you, sir.
I'll let David speak first.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you all for your time. I know this is in depth. I just wanted to answer a couple questions. The plan, if we can launch this campaign soon, would be to run it through 2022, through the calendar year. Another point to make is when we launched the Climate Smart Communities Task Force, we went out of our way to convey our intention to find funding outside of the normal budgets as much as possible to support the work that we're doing and the work that we want to promote in the communities. So it would not be something that we would require or ask at this point of any resources. One of the benefits of the Community Solar Project is, yes, we get credits through the Climate Smart Communities program, and that can potentially unleash future funding sources. But NYSERDA, through the Clean Energy Communities program, offers a $15,000 grant for a large municipality, which the county obviously is, if we sign up just 25 subscribers. And there are a variety of towns in the county who would like to take advantage of our process here to bootstrap their own solar campaigns, and they would also receive grants of $5,000 each for 10 subscribers. That's on top of the generous offer by the providers to pay to offer $100 as a payment for sustainability initiatives. So if we sign up 100 customers in the county, that's $10,000 plus $15,000 from NYSERDA, $25,000 that we can go toward any type of sustainability initiative that the Board of Supervisors approves. So there are a lot of potential benefits in addition to cost savings and greening the grid. Just wanted to make that point.
Okay, thank you, David. Mike?
Yeah, thank you for the presenters, and thank you to the task force for doing this work. I think, to me, this seems like a win-win. Maybe it's win-win-win-win. But I think there's real clear economic benefits for the county and for our residents. At the same time, we do have an urgent need to reduce carbon emissions, and this is a step towards that. And we get the financial benefits of reducing electricity, plus, as you mentioned, sort of like the grant opportunities through New York State. And I think the Climate Smart Task Force, we created this task force so they could kind of do a lot of the heavy lifting. And we have a bipartisan team, plus some community consultants who I think it seems like they did a tremendous amount of research to get us to this place. So I appreciate that, and I respect supervisors who need more time to think about this, but I'm ready to support the task force's recommendation.
Matt Morrell?
I think Supervisor Hoatling was first.
Okay, I don't see her on my screen, so that's fine.
Go ahead, Chairman, you go first.
Okay. I guess my question is, well, first of all, next AMP is on the state contract list, as far as I understand. In terms of Astral Power, you're not on the state contract list, but I do have a question. Are you, in terms of other communities where you have solar and they've signed on with you through their RFP process, is there a piggybacking agreement within the RFP which says if they contract with you, other municipalities have that ability to contract with you?
In all the 30 solarized campaigns and RFPs that we have submitted, that was never a request for our proposals. Again, the solarized model is an outreach and education model. It's not so municipalities will frequently, in attempting to be bipartisan, will put out an RFP, but it's not an RFP for goods and services. It's an RFP for outreach and education.
Is that good, Matt?
Well, no, I'm just, as I understand it, though, that there has to be a process, whether it's, the state process or a local process.
I think Pallavi might be able to speak to their work with Rensselaer County.
Yeah, so I can just add to that. So with Rensselaer County, we didn't do an RFP process. We definitely submitted a proposal to them and kind of walked them through their potential savings. And this was directly with the county for their office buildings and, all like the county buildings, not for the residents. So it wasn't a solarized campaign, but it was a community solar program for Rensselaer County. And so the requirement to be on the state, what you were referring to, was not there. And secondly, just to add to that, we have compliance with the Department of Public Service in New York. We submit our annual compliance documents to them, and we, on a yearly basis, get approval from them. That and most recently in August of 2021, we did get our approval. So that happens on a rollover basis every year. So we have that compliance from the DPS directly to be a CDG developer, and community solar program is approved. So I hope that gives you some reassurance from the compliance standpoint.
I'm just trying to figure out the path, a clear path. I mean, obviously, Next Amp is a path because it's a state OGS process that we can piggyback onto. And I know, for example, in towns or county, if another municipality buys a vehicle, for example, and they put that language in the RFP or the agreement, other towns and counties can piggyback onto that. And I just was wondering if there's the same path here. That's all.
I think just to answer you, Chairman Muro, NYSERDA has been guiding the solarized conversation since 2011 and has put forth templates for municipalities and to model after. And so all the municipalities in throughout New York, Tompkins County, Ulster County, Dutchess County, Orange County, not to mention all of the other solarized communities in Massachusetts and Connecticut and New Hampshire that my team has run over the past 11 years, both in rooftop solar and community solar. It was not language that was requested because, again, NYSERDA was guiding this conversation and showing people what to do in terms of a solarized RFP.
Okay.
Brenda?
Tistria was next, I think.
I had a follow-up to Matt's question. Tistria, would you mind if I asked Matt a question first?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so Matt, I'm just a little confused by your question because I believe that the task force process was defined by the county to either
vendors that were on the OGS list or to vendors that had been selected previously by other municipalities. And Astral was on the list of vendors that had been selected by other municipalities. So I'm not sure what the distinction is you're making.
What I'm asking is those other municipalities, if there was a process that we could clearly piggyback onto that process. That was my question. Whether it was Chatham, it was Kinderhook, or Austerlitz, if they put out a request for proposals or something of that nature, was there something in there that says that other municipalities could join? You're correct that, we looked at both things. We looked at the state contracts and we looked at a request for proposals or, other municipalities. But my question is, did other municipalities do a request for proposals?
They did in the case of Chatham and Austerlitz. In the case of the village of Kinderhook, they did a request for sort of an inquiry, just a series of questions. And again, I think because of the nature of Solarize, it's outreach and education as opposed to goods and services that can be piggybacked on. When we're focused on a municipality and doing outreach and education, we're customizing that for that municipality. Again, it's about knowing that particular community and the members in that community and businesses, not so much as buying services or a car or what have you.
Okay.
If I could just add one quick thing is that at least in New York State, we've been talking with lawyers and stuff, and it's kind of their view that an RFP with a piggybacking clause is the clear way to go, but you have to have that clause in there, and then other towns can piggyback off that. Since energy spend is usually in excess of $20,000, I believe is that kind of deadline there. If it's in excess of $20,000, it seems to have to go to an RFP process on a municipal level. Whereas if it's below that level, then it kind of drops into that gray area, and we usually defer to the town or county's council on what they want to do.
I will say piggybacking clauses are pretty standard. So, they might be in those RFPs. They're pretty standard. Sorry, Matt, go ahead.
Sorry, Supervisor. I was just going to say, and that's what I'm asking. It may already be there. And that was the only thing I want, if it's there, then it makes it easy. Sorry.
I would like to say, I would like to jump in here and say, I don't want to, the meeting, we've listened so far for an hour about two presentations from two companies. Climate Smart went through this and are recommending either company. We're supposed to make a decision on it. I would like from the Climate Smart to come back with the pluses and the minuses to the board of how they feel both companies would weigh out for the community, for the
our recommendation is,
excuse me. And what I'd like, the reason I'm asking is give us a month to look at it, because you're asking us after an hour to make a decision from one company to the next. Yeah. And I think, and Linda even brought it up, she'd like to digest more of this. So I think we should get some more information and see where that comes back to play. That's my opinion from what I'm listening to everybody talking.
So just to clarify, Kippy, our recommendation is to go with both providers. We're not asking this committee to choose one over the other. The task force looked at 5 different providers and narrowed it down to 2. And our recommendation is the county goes with both of them, which then gives residents the option to choose one over the other. Maybe somebody is really focused on diversity and minority owned businesses, and they're going to go with the one that promotes that more. So just to clarify, the request is actually that the committee approve both. But if I could chime in for just a minute, I do want to say that from a task force perspective, and this isn't the fault of anyone here, but we've been working on this for quite a while. And while I completely understand having questions and if the vote gets postponed, I completely understand. But we as a committee have been working on this for quite a while through the process. And I realize this is the first time that it's coming to this committee. I will say that the task force is comprised of many different town task force chairs, people who have done community solar campaigns already. And they asked a lot of questions. They asked a lot of the right questions. And I'm not saying we, defer completely to them, but often we will defer to a department head saying, hey, they've researched this. This is their recommendation. So I think the recommendation of the task force does hold some weight. I also want to put a personal perspective from the town of New Lebanon. We've done a community solar campaign for a long time now and have found it to be a win-win-win-win, like Supervisor Chimides was saying. The residents save money. The town gets credits that we now have used to put in a heat pump at the highway garage, a new heating system that was in dire need. That's an energy efficient heating system. We use the money that we earned from the credits from this program to install a new heat pump there. The residents are happy. The town is happy. There's not really a downside. And just to speak to some of Supervisor Mussman's concerns, I don't know the details of Hudson's campaign, but when you talk about billing issues, it makes me think that maybe it's not a consolidated billing provider, which was one of the things that we as the town sussed out. We would not go with a provider that sometimes you get two different bills. So you get your bill from NYSEG and then you get your bill from the solar provider, and it's really complicated and convoluted. So that was one of the things that the task force weeded out. I'm not sure if any of the 5 companies had non-consolidated billing, but that was one of the key pieces for us. And a lot of us have been involved in this in our own towns for quite some time. So we know kind of the ups and downs, the pitfalls, what works, what doesn't work. And those were a lot of the criteria that we used when we sussed out the 5 different companies. So I would really encourage this committee to make a motion tonight to pass this along to the full board. Because it's been in the works for quite some time and there's NYSERDA funding, and it's like Cara said, we're not buying anything from anyone. We're simply, promoting clean energy, which is in dire need right now for our communities. Thank you.
Okay, I think David was up first. Hello?
Thank you. Just a brief comment. We chose both after looking at the different proposals because they both had qualities that we thought were important to bring to the residents and businesses of the county to give them a choice. And we can go into more detail. I'm not going to do that now as to why we did that. The spreadsheet we provide, which is basically taken from their proposals, is trying to break that down in a way that's more digestible than reading through the separate proposals. But the other thing I'll just mention is, as Tistria mentioned, we have been working on this for 8 months or so. On August 11th, the Board of Supervisors passed a resolution, and in that resolution, they authorized the task force to work with the Controller's Office to evaluate competing proposals, select the company that best serves the interests of the prospective customers, to complete the required documentation for NYSERDA to get credit, to initiate the campaign, and to enroll or to work toward enrolling Columbia County municipal electric accounts if doing so didn't increase costs for the county. And we, of course, didn't have the authority to do that. We, of course, had the understanding as we'd come back to make a recommendation. But this has been something in process for 6 months that we've spent many months evaluating, multiple phone calls and meetings and documents and emails back and forth to the providers, vetting them. They've been terrific in being responsive, providing a lot of information. And we do have a degree of urgency here. The last point I'll make is that NYSERDA grants for large municipalities, there are 3 left in the state. And we only need 25 customers to get that $15,000 grant. That, I'm not arguing that we shouldn't address questions that are outstanding that the supervisors have if they really need to address those questions. But I'm just trying to reassure you that we did go through this process that was kicked off by the Board of Supervisors with the resolution in August, and we've done a very thorough job. So I hope that we can make a decision, or you all can make a decision tonight to move forward. And perhaps one way forward is to move it forward to the Board of Supervisors with additional questions and information that can be addressed in the next few weeks before the board meets. Thank you.
Okay, I think Matt Morrell had his hand up first.
No, the only thing I was going to say is that I appreciate the process that you've gone through. And I have no problem with choosing multiple providers. But the only thing I was I was saying, and I'll still say it, is, it's clear to me that Nexamp is on the state contract. I just want to, part of our jobs as supervisors is to make sure we're doing things appropriately. And that's the only reason I'm bringing it up. I want to make sure we're doing it appropriately. I have no problem with Astral Power, but I just, I did realize that, they were chosen not as part of an RFP process, at least by the county, and or they were in the state contract. So if there's a way that we can get to Astral Power through another piggybacking another municipality, that would be great.
Okay. Brenda, I think your hand went up.
It did, and I just wanted to elaborate just a little bit. We felt it was really important to give consumers a choice because there are 3 utilities in the counties, and we want to make sure that all consumers have access to this program. And I think that while there's some overlap in terms of the service areas that these 2 providers serve, there's also their discrete service areas that one serves and the other does not. So I think we know that, and we need to respond to that. And I also think if you look at the document, you'll see that there are differences in capacity in terms of when power is coming online. And I think we'd like to be able to give our consumers or our constituents a choice. There may be somebody who would choose one program because they can get online sooner than another program. So I think it really is important to have more than one option or one choice.
Okay, thank you, Brenda. Linda?
I'm still a little confused. Chairman Morrell, is the county going to opt into this if we proceed or not?
I'm sorry, I was on mute. First of all, it's not my decision. I think it's the Board of Supervisors' decision, but we have, I think we need to make sure that all our questions are answered. I think at some point, if the questions are answered, yes, because if it's going to benefit our residents, I think it's a positive thing.
Thank you. I just want to be clear about my position. I mean, I've spent a tremendous amount of time and energy and money putting solar panels on the roof of my business, and it's saved a tremendous amount of money. Mm-hmm. My position is I would like to have it really clear what we're signing on to, because 10% is a very small gain in my view. And there's all these things that are given, grants, et cetera. I would like to see the people who sign on to these things actually get the total advantage of these projects. So that's it. Thanks.
Okay, Ron Knott, you put your hand up.
Oh, hold on. Supervisor Collins was next.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And then Supervisor Knott. We go in order.
Yeah,
well, I'm not on the committee, so I defer to other committee members if Ron wanted to go ahead first. But
I'd be happy to hear from you, Donnell. I know that you did a solarized campaign in Chatham, so.
Yeah, we did almost 2 years ago now. Astral Power was one of them. We did an RFP. We had a subcommittee that vetted multiple companies, and we did the very same thing that there is being proposed today. We offered several companies for our residents to choose from. I think the county committee has done a great job vetting and putting forth these 2 companies. So I would encourage that you guys move this ahead tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Now, who do we have? Brenda, I think, wanted a question.
No, nobody's hands are up now. Ron, okay. Supervisor Knott, did you have?
Yes. My recommendation would be if we take the resolution, and I don't know if the rest of the committee members are fully okay with this, but I've been involved with the task force and watching their process here, and I think that they have done some due diligence. But my only concern, I think, and this goes to Linda's statement, if we take out the wording that says we're going to sign up the county to this, and we allow the county controller's office in the future to look at that purchasing of our own power for this, but we allow the committee to move ahead with a solarized campaign so that they can make recommendations to the residents. I could be okay with that. To answer Matt's question, if the committee wanted to move this towards full board and ask that the county, we put another caveat in there that this has to be approved by the county controller's office and the county attorney's office as far as
process and how we got there, I would be okay with that.
Okay, Ron, thank you. Jared, I think, has a question. Kelly?
Yes, thank you. One quick thing. I just want to make it really clear that we're not selling power, even at a county level. We're just selling energy credits, right? And so that counts against your bill. $1 of energy credit, you can subtract $1 from your utility bill, and then you purchase that dollar at the agreed upon discount. So there's no actual energy being supplied to the residents' homes or the businesses. These farms are putting energy into the grid, which is then distributed anywhere. So it's really impossible to say where that energy came from. It's just bill credits, not energy. It's not like an ESCO at all.
Okay, thank you. I would just like to say too, to let everybody know that I'm totally for solar all the way. Anything like that, windmills, solar, I think it's a great thing. I just want to make sure we've done our due diligence for the board to make sure they can make the correct decision. I mean, I think it's a great thing and it's going to definitely go through. I haven't got a problem with what Ron said. If we want to pass it tonight and then move on to the full board, it could be held up there for some any reason because some of the supervisors have many more questions. I guess I'm going to ask the board at this time. I mean, just to let everybody know, what does the board feel? What you're feeling at this point? Anybody? I'm ready to support the motion as amended by Ron.
I can support that.
Okay. Well, it sounds to me like everybody can support it. I think I need a motion then.
I'll move it, Adams.
Hello?
Adams will move it.
Okay, I need a second. I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There you go. It's passed.
Thank you guys so much for a 2-hour meeting to get this really important thing moving. Appreciate it.
Well, you've answered some good questions. I appreciate that, everybody. I mean, there is question being asked. There might be more that be coming up when the county looks at it further, but we'll play it out there when we go to the next meeting. That's all. Sounds good.
And Chairman Weigel, I would say if any supervisors do have outstanding questions, if they can email them to, Supervisor Adams or myself or Supervisor Collins, we are all on that, or Supervisor Knott, and then we can try to get answers to those questions before the full board meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
That sounds very good. Thank you.
Also, if the presenters would email me their presentation, we can at least share it with the rest of the board supervisors.
Absolutely.
Anybody else have any more questions? I need a motion to adjourn, finally.
So moved. Adams.
Second? I'll second it. All in favor? Thank you. It was a great meeting, I think. Good discussion. Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.